So we're going to talk about some hiring practices, and hopefully help you get folks in. This is going to be kind of an overview. We're going to touch on a couple of these topics, and then we can talk about more afterwards. So just as long as I make sure I don't go over my time. We're already running behind, but that's my fault. Sorry. Body language. That's pretty clear. I love these things. The way nature says, "Do not touch." Sometimes it's not what you say; it's how you say it. If you're reading somebody, and even if what they're saying sounds good, and you're like, "Wow, no," trust that. Their body language, those nonverbal cues, that's things you absolutely want to watch for. And a lot of that may come down to instinct, or if you get some training, some understanding in it either way. But having the idea of knowing to recognize that can be really helpful. If you ever who's watched CSI? Admit it. Somebody's got the guilty pleasure. Law and Order, CSI. Yeah. And I remember this one episode years ago, and they were talking about somebody said, "Well, when I asked him that question, he looked down and to the left." And that's where you look when you're making something up, because the person that's telling the truth looks down and to the right. Okay. I'm so glad those people in Hollywood know so much. The reality is that all of these things can be indicators. They are nonverbal cues, but they are not in and of themselves, by definition, one way or the other. The cultural differences can account for a lot of that. The Asian tradition, Asian culture, a subordinate does not look their superior in the eye. And so when you're talking to somebody and they perceive you in some kind of position of power, if they're coming to you for a job and they look down and they look away, and whenever you try and meet their eye, they look that way, and if you step into their view, they saunter off. It may be because they were taught that respect is to keep your eyes down and not look you in the eye, that looking you in the eye, seeing you as an equal or challenging you. So you have to be aware of those things when you're talking about what the body posture. If I stand up here like this, the biometric people would say that I'm closed, I won't listen to you. You know what? Maybe my left arm is really, really sore, and I'm supporting it. You would need to ask. All these things are indicators, but they're indicators here's the trick, if they change. I once talked to a girl who's her tick. Her tell when she was lying, she would look all around while you were talking to her, but when she was lying to you, she'd look me straight in the eye, because that's what she wanted me to believe right then. And that was her tell. As soon as we figured that out, we knew the whole story. We had her pegged. But it's the change. And so when you're talking to somebody and you're interviewing them, you start off nice and easy. You get a little bit of information, hey, what team do you like? Heck of a storm we had yesterday. And you get them comfortable, and then when you start asking questions, when hey, what's your name? Why'd your parents give you that? Whatever you're doing, a little bit of background, and when you start getting into questions where they change their approach, where they all of a sudden they sit up or they become shifty, or if they're really moving around before and now they kind of settle in, it's that change that is what you want to be looking for. I'm not saying that means they're lying, but that's the type of indicator that you use when you're looking for nonverbal cues or you're looking for body language. And the same is true voice, rate and pitch. They'll change. It doesn't mean that somebody, just because they're talking fast, they may only have 28 minutes left to talk, and they need to speed up a little bit, and they may be trying to get through it. Doesn't mean everything I say from here on out is going to be a lie, because I'm talking faster than I was before. And then this was the Prince Charles position. It was a position of power, supposedly. Except that most people that haven't read that and don't know feel that this is a deceitful position because you don't know what I have behind my back. So, folks that go, "Oh, he thought he was very powerful," and somebody else is going to go, "That little liar, what's he hiding from me? Why is he stealing something?" And so, even just the same position can have two different meanings depending on your theory or the school you got that from or whatever. So really, it's the change. It's if I'm standing here and I'm talking this, that, the other, and then you ask me a question and I stand like this and that would be your indicator that something is different. Either I was lying to you before when I was talking fast, or else now I'm lying to you that I'm standing like Prince Charles. So it's those changes that you want to watch for, and you can do that when you're just in the course of the interview, like I said, just establish a baseline, get an idea of what they're like, get a little bit comfortable, and then when you start poking and asking a little more pointed questions, watch for what alters in their presentation. And it's really good if you can interview with two people, so that when that person's asking a question, you're watching, you make some notes and you watch, and then take turns back and forth, because you can really be a lot more attentive to it. Because we'll go over a couple interview things in a minute, where interviewing is an active process. You want to be planning ahead. You want to be thinking about your next question. You want to be tying it to information you've gotten in the past. And if you're trying to watch them, listen to their response, think of what they said in the past, think of what you're going to ask next all at once, you're really at risk of losing a lot of clues.